Have you ever stopped to think about, like, the power of your breath? Like, really thought about?
It's something we do thousands of times a day. It's easy to take for granted.
Totally. Which is why today's deep dive is so fascinating. We're exploring this YouTube video. It's called Once You Understand the Power of Breath, You Don't Just Live, You Transcend. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that title definitely grabs your attention.
Right. It's like almost like stumbling upon some, like, secret society devoted to something we usually never think twice about.
I know.
So we're going to break down some of the claims this video makes. The ancient wisdom from the modern science. Try to figure out what's hype and what we can actually use in our lives. Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. So one of the first things the video talks about is, well, how we actually kind of suck at breathing. Seriously. Like, it takes us back. Way, way back, before language even, when our breath was like our main connection to the world.
It's true. We don't think about how vital it is until it threatens.
Right. And the video argues that as, humans developed, all the noise of life, thoughts, worries, whatever, it kind of drowned out that primal awareness of the breath.
Mm-hmm. We got distracted.
Totally. It's kind of humbling, right? Like, we're worse at something our ancestors were masters of.
It really makes you think.
For sure. Okay, so we're breathing wrong. But how does the video, like, connect this to the bigger picture?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. It starts talking about the Vedic texts and this concept of prana.
Prana.
Yeah, think of it as this, like, vital life force. Yeah. An energy that flows through, like, everything in the universe.
Whoa, okay.
So breathing isn't just about oxygen. It's about taking in this prana, this energy that connects us to everything around us.
Okay, so there's more to breathing than meets the eye. Is that where the transcending part comes in? How does the video bridge that gap?
Well, they tell this story from the Katha Upanishad about a young boy. His name is Nachiketa, and he meets Yama, the god of death. It is. But instead of being tempted by, like, worldly pleasures, Nachiketa asks for deeper knowledge. And Yama, he teaches him that mastering your breath is the key to basically transcending the limitations of our physical existence. Like, whoa.
So ancient cultures saw breathwork as more than just like a physical practice. They saw it as a pathway to, like, deeper knowledge and understanding.
Exactly. They saw it as the key to unlocking something bigger.
That's huge. Okay, so fast forward a few thousand years. Does the video say how this ancient wisdom connects with what we know from science today?
Oh, absolutely. It points out that, like, modern science is now catching up with what these ancient traditions have known for centuries.
Like what?
Well, for example, studies are showing how different breathing patterns can actually change our brainwave state.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Like, slow, deep breathing can shift us from, like, those stressed out beta waves to the calmer alpha and theta states where, creativity and intuition thrive.
Oh, wow. It's funny because, like, when I'm freaking out, I definitely notice that my breathing gets all shallow and rapid. But when I'm relaxed, it's slower and deeper.
Are you saying we can, like, consciously control that?
That's exactly what it's saying. We can use our breath to literally shift our mental state. Powerful stuff.
That's pretty wild. So, like, if you want to chill out, breathe deep.
Pretty much. And there's even this link between breath rate and lifespan.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like animals with incredibly slow breath rates, like, I don't know, tortoises, whales, elephants, they tend to live much longer than those with faster breath rate.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so far we've got breathing is more than just air. It connects us to everything, and we can use it to change our minds and maybe even live long. I'm starting to see why they call this the power of breath. But the video doesn't just stop at theory, right? It actually gives some techniques to try, yeah.
You got it. And the first one they introduce is called Kapalabhati, also known as skull shining breath.
Skull shining. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What's that all about? So it involves, like, forceful exhales through your nostrils while you let the inhales happen naturally. It creates this rapid rhythm. And it's thought to, like, clear mental fog and sharpen your focus. It's a bit more vigorous than your typical breathing exercise, that's for sure.
Okay, so that's one for when you need a mental boost. What about the other technique the video mentioned too, right?
Right. The other one's called Bhramari, or the bee breath. And it's the opposite of Kapalabhati. It's designed to quiet your mind and, like, reduce stress.
Oh, I think I need that one right about now. So how does the bee breath work? Do you actually, like, buzz like a bee?
Kind of. You close your ears and you gently hum as you exhale. You feel these vibrations throughout your body. It's surprisingly effective at calming you down.
Wow. Okay. So we've got one breath to energize and one to calm. It's like having a built-in toolkit for your mental state. But I gotta ask, how does the video explain the science behind this? Is there actually evidence to support that?
Yeah, there is. For Kapalabhati, that rapid breathing pattern actually activates your sympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for, like, fight or flight.
Oh, God.
Because you're doing it in a controlled way, it can actually lead to, like, increased alertness, but without the stress.
That's so cool. What about Bhramari?
Well, with the humming, that's been shown to lower your heart rate and activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the one that's all about rest and relaxation.
That's remarkable. Just by changing how we breathe, we can create these powerful shifts in our bodies and minds.
Exactly. And the video actually uses this really interesting metaphor to describe it all. They say the breath acts like a bridge between our physical self and something eternal.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. But hold on. Before we get too carried away with the mystical side of things, why do we spend most of our lives breathing unconsciously?
Good question.
If it's so important, how did we forget about it? What happened?
Well, the video suggests it goes back to our evolution. As humans developed, we became more and more focused on the external world, building things, accomplishing goals, gathering all this stuff. And somewhere along the way, we kind of lost touch with the internal world, with that subtle energy of the breath.
It's like we traded our connection to the universe for a bunch of stuff.
It does seem that way sometimes, doesn't it? But the good news is that connection is always there, waiting for us to rediscover it.
And these breathing techniques are one way to do that.
Exactly. They give us a way to intentionally shift our attention back to our breath, back to this vital force that's flowing through us all the time.
Makes you think about that story of Nachiketa, right?
Yeah.
He was searching for something deeper, something more meaningful than, earthly pleasure. And what he was taught all boils down to the power of his own breath. Kind of brings it all full circle.
Totally. Nachiketa's story is a really powerful reminder that we all have the ability to choose that deeper path. And it can start with something as simple as the breath.
I love that. Okay, this deep dive is blowing my mind already. We started with a YouTube video about breathing, and we've already explored ancient wisdom, modern science, even the evolution of human consciousness.
It's quite the journey.
But before we go too far down the rabbit hole, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Are there any risks associated with these breathing practices? Should we be worried about trying this stuff?
That's a very important question. While Kapalabhati and Bhramari are generally considered safe for most people, you always want to listen to your body and stop if you feel any discomfort.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about people with certain health conditions? Should everyone?
If you have any pre-existing health conditions, especially respiratory or cardiovascular issues, it's always best to consult with your doctor before trying any new breathing exercise, just to be safe.
Good advice. Now let's get back to this idea of the breath as a bridge to something bigger than ourselves. I have to admit, it's a concept that really intrigues.
It is a powerful metaphor. The video describes it as this thread, weaving our individual souls into the fabric of existence.
Whoa.
And they say, by controlling our breath, we gain control over our mind, and that allows us to see reality more clearly.
It's almost like we're tapping into this universal rhythm, this cosmic dance that's been happening since, the beginning of time.
Precisely. And the video highlights how the universe itself breathes, expanding and contracting stars, rising and falling tides. It's all this constant cycle of inhalation and exhalation.
Wow. That's pretty mind-blowing. So we're not just breathing air, but the very essence of the cosmos.
That's one way to put it. And with every exhale, we dissolve back into that vastness, returning to the source. It's a constant reminder that we're not separate from the universe, but a vital part of it.
Okay, I'm officially feeling all cosmic and interconnected. This has been an incredible journey so far.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Oh, absolutely. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm kind of stuck on this question. If breath is so powerful, why do we spend so much of our lives breathing unconsciously? What happened along the way?
Well, the video suggests it's part of our human story. As we evolved, we became so focused on the outside world, building, achieving, getting all the things. And somewhere along the way, we lost touch with that inner world, that subtle energy of the breath.
It's like we traded our connection to the universe for a storage unit full of stuff.
It does seem that way sometimes, right? But the good news is that connection is always there.
Yeah.
Just waiting for us to rediscover it.
So these breathing techniques, they're kind of like a bridge back to that lost connection.
Exactly. They give us a way to be intentional about it, to bring our awareness back to the breath, to reconnect with this vital force that's always flowing through us, whether you realize it or not.
This is making me think about Nachiketa again. He wasn't interested in those temporary pleasures, He wanted something more, something lasting. And the knowledge he got, it all came back to the power of the breath. It really shows you how these ancient traditions, they didn't just see this as a workout. They saw breath work as a path to something so much deeper.
It's a great point in Nachiketa's story. It's this powerful reminder that we can all choose a path of deeper understanding, a path that leads us inward to explore the hidden depths within ourselves. And breathwork can be a powerful tool for that exploration.
So it's not just about breathing exercises. It's about a shift in consciousness, a willingness to look inward and explore what's there.
You got it. That's one of the things that makes this video so interesting. It's not just presenting information. It's inviting you on a journey of self-discovery. It all begins with something as simple and as profound as the breath.
It's like we're given this map to a hidden treasure, and the key to unlock it is something we've had with us all along.
I gotta say, this deep dive is really shifting my perspective.
Yeah.
But can we come back to the science for a sec? The video talks about the breath as this bridge to something bigger than ourselves. I'm curious to hear more about what you think about that.
Well, the video uses this beautiful metaphor. They describe the breath as like a thread that weaves our individual souls into the fabric of existence.
Whoa.
And they say that when we learn to control our breath, we also gain this greater sense of control over our mind. And that allows us to see reality more clearly, more fully.
It's like we're tapping into this universal rhythm, this cosmic dance that's been happening since, the beginning of time.
Exactly. The video makes this point that the universe itself, think about it, expanding and contracting stars, the rising and falling tide. Even the very fabric of reality seems to pulse, and this infinite cycle of inhalation and exhalation. Wow, that is mind. So are you saying that we're not just breathing air, but we're breathing in, like, the essence of the cosmos?
It's a beautiful way to think about it. And with each exhale, it's like we dissolve back into that vastness, returning to the source. It's this constant exchange, this reminder that we're not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it.
This is making me think about all those times I felt most connected to something larger than myself. Like when you're out in nature, listening to music, or feeling deep love. Is it possible that those moments feel so powerful because we're more tuned into our breath, even unconscious?
That's a really interesting observation. It makes sense that when we feel a sense of awe or wonder, when we experience that deep connection to something outside of ourselves, we might also be more present in our bodies, more aware of our breath. It's definitely something worth thinking about.
Absolutely. So if we can tap into that power consciously, just imagine the possibility. But it also makes me wonder, if breath is so powerful, why do we spend so much of our lives breathing unconsciously? I mean, what happened?
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? The video suggests that as humans evolved, we became more and more focused on the external world, on building and conquering and accumulating things. And in that process, we lost touch with the inner world, with that subtle energy of the breath.
It's like we traded our connection to the universe for a bunch of stuff.
In a way, yeah. But the good news is that we can reclaim that connection. It's still there, waiting for us to remember it.
And these breathing techniques are like our way back.
Exactly. They give us a tool, a method for intentionally shifting our awareness back to the breath, back to this vital force that flows through us.
This all comes back to the story of Nachiketa, doesn't it? He wasn't interested in those temporary pleasures. He wanted something deeper, something lasting. And in the end, the knowledge he received, it all centered around the power of breath.
Yeah. Nachiketa's story, it reminds us that we all have the capacity to choose that deeper path, to seek knowledge and understanding beyond the superficial.
So it's not just about the breathing exercises. It's about a shift in consciousness, a willingness to look inward and explore the hidden depths within ourselves.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about this video. It's not just giving you information. It's inviting you on this journey of self-discovery, a journey that begins with something as simple and as profound as the breath.
I love that. It's like we're being handed a map to a hidden treasure, and the key to unlock it is something we carry within us all along.
And the more we explore this inner world, the more we realize that the breath, it's not just about keeping our bodies alive. It's about connecting us to something so much bigger than ourselves, something truly transcendent.
This has been an incredible deep dive. It's definitely changed the way I think about breathing, but I'm curious, what are your final thoughts on the video's message?
What strikes me the most is the emphasis on choice. Every breath we take, it's an opportunity. We can choose to breathe unconsciously, letting our minds race with worries and distractions, or we can choose to breathe consciously, to become aware of the present moment, to connect with our inner selves and with the vastness of the universe.
It's this powerful reminder that we have more control over our minds and our experience of reality than we often realize.
Exactly. And that control, it starts with something as simple as the breath.
So what does this mean for us? As viewers of this video, what are we supposed to do with this information?
It's a call to action, an invitation to explore the power of breath for yourself. Try out those techniques, experiment with different breathing patterns, see what happens,
It's like we're being given a chance to rediscover something ancient and powerful, something that's been with us all along.
And who knows what we might discover along the way. Perhaps, as the video suggests, we might even transcend the limitations of our ordinary lives and tap into a reality that is far more expansive and interconnected than we ever imagined.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. Time to try out some of those breathing techniques and see where this journey takes.
It's fascinating to think about this all on, a personal level.
Yeah.
But the video kind of hints at something even bigger, Like, what if everyone tapped into this power of breath?
It makes you wonder, right?
It does. What are the implications of that?
Well, the video talks about breath as this, like universal language. And if mastering the breath can lead to greater self-awareness and understanding, like they suggest, imagine if that became like more widespread, the ripple effect.
You're talking about a collective consciousness kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the video doesn't explicitly go there, but it does touch on the breath as this rhythm that connects us all. What if we could all find a greater sense of inner peace through breath work? Wouldn't that inevitably affect how we interact with each other?
It's a really interesting thought. Like, if we could each calm our own mind, reduce our own stress and anxieties, wouldn't that naturally extend outward? Could we actually create a more harmonious world just by starting with ourselves? It's definitely a possibility worth exploring, isn't it? What if something as simple as paying attention to our breath could not only transform our individual lives, but also contribute to a more peaceful and interconnected world?
That's a really powerful and hopeful message. This whole deep dive has been a total eye-opener. We started with a YouTube video about breathing, and now we're talking about ancient wisdom, modern science, consciousness, even the potential for collective transformation. It's pretty amazing.
It just shows you how much depth there is to something we often take for granted.
So for someone listening to this, what's the key takeaway? What's the one thing you want them to remember from this conversation?
Well, if we connect it back to the bigger picture, I hope they remember this. They have the power to change their experience of reality. And that power lies in each and every breath. Each inhale, each exhale is a chance to become more present, more aware, more connected to yourself and everything around you. It's a practice, a journey, and it's available to everyone.
And on that, I think it's time for all good night. Thanks for joining.